I am the true heiress of the Sioux family, lost and recently found, yet coldly neglected until I saved a black snake, which vowed to repay my kindness by granting me a wish. Just as I was about to speak, dense streams of bullet comments flashed before my eyes. Stop, the fake heiress has bound a double effect system. If you wish for her to receive double benefits, you'll suffer backlash. Got it, so you want double the happiness. I smiled faintly at the snake immortal. My first wish is to sleep 10 hours every day. My second wish is to always maintain a weight of 100 pounds. My third wish is to have my period last a full 7 days every month. Just a mere double. Then let me give you an immersive experience of the joys of never waking up, becoming as fat as a ball, and bleeding non-stop. My moment for revenge has finally arrived. The back hill of our villa is usually deserted. Not even ghosts come here. If I hadn't been punished, I wouldn't have come to this godforsaken place. Today, Suifang, that so-called sister of mine, the fake heiress who stole my identity for 17 years, started crying to our parents this morning just because I used her bathroom. She accused me of bullying her and deliberately making her late. As a result, I got punished. How impressive. Clearly, I'm the Sioux family's daughter, drifting aimlessly for 17 years, enduring all sorts of hardships in life. Though I was found and brought back 3 months ago, in this family, I live like an invisible punching bag. Life is nothing but bitterness. The one who promised to shelter me from the storm ended up bringing me the fiercest tempest. I swung the broom angrily, sending fallen leaves swirling through the air. Hiss hiss, a faint sound made me pause my movements. Following the sound, I noticed something seemed to be trapped beneath a loose, large rock. It was pitch black. I moved closer and poked at it with the handle of a broom. It's a snake. Its entire body was pitch black, only as thick as a child's arm, and now its tail was pinned under a rock, looking barely alive. It raised its small triangular head. Its dark, inky eyes stared straight at me. Unlike the usual fear seen in animals, there was something almost human-like in its gaze. As if guided by supernatural forces, I threw aside the broom and struggled with all my might to push aside that stone. The little black snake gained its freedom but did not slither away immediately. It leisurely coiled itself up, raised its head to look at me, and with its mouth opening and closing, a clear yet ancient voice resonated directly in my mind. Mortal, I am a serpent immortal who has cultivated for 1,000 years. Today, thanks to your aid, I have escaped this predicament. To repay your kindness, I shall grant you 3 wishes. Whatever you desire, it shall be yours. My eyes instantly lit up. My heart was pounding wildly. Snake immortal, 3 wishes. Could this be the beginning of my luck turning around? Can I finally settle all the grievances I endured after being brought back by the Sioux family? 100 million. I must have 100 million first. With money, who would still care about this hypocritical Sioux family? Just as I was about to speak, rows of semi-transparent text with various colors and effects floated past my eyes without warning, strikingly similar to the bullet comments on video websites. Here it comes. Famous scene alert. Run, supporting female lead. This wish must not be made. Ha 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 ha. Sioux Ifang's double system is already itching for action, not only stealing luck, but the female lead is also determined to drive the supporting female lead to her death. I blinked rapidly, thinking it was an illusion, but those words were still there. Even scrolling. Poplar sis, stop imagining. If you wish for 100 million, Suifang will instantly get 200 million. She'd be over the moon. I can't even. Go ahead and make your wish. Supporting character, 1 wish and you'll be speechless. It's all the female lead's scheme. She's already bound you to that lousy double system. You make a wish, she reaps double the benefits, and you suffer the backlash. The female lead effortlessly gains billions and peerless beauty, while the supporting character suffers the snake spirit's backlash, meeting a gruesome end. TSK, not even bones left to gnaw. Who understands Suifang's joy of effortless gains? The 100 million that was on the tip of my tongue got stuck in my throat, and cold sweat instantly broke out. Double system. Suifang, I wished for her to receive double, and I suffered backlash. A chill surged from the soles of my feet straight to the crown of my head. No wonder Suifang's luck became absurdly good after I returned. She could win another bottle 10 times in a row just by buying a random drink. Whatever she desires, she always manages to obtain it through some twist of fate. As for me, no matter how careful I am, I always stumble, either losing money or being misunderstood. So this is the root of it all. She actually stole my luck. Overwhelming rage and lingering fear left my hands and feet ice cold. I stared at the little black snake still waiting for my wish. then glanced at those constantly scrolling, spoiler, bullet comments that seemed to come from another dimension. I couldn't make any substantial wishes, but I absolutely couldn't let Sui Fang get away with this. But should I just let go of this opportunity that's come knocking at my door? No, my mind raced at an unprecedented speed. What wish could I make that not only denies her any benefit but also makes her pay a price? Double deal. Taking a deep breath, I faced the little black snake whose gaze seemed to carry a hint of curiosity, and spoke with utmost clarity, word by word. Great Snake Immortal, my first wish is, from this day forward, I hope to sleep a full 10 hours every day, enjoy deep sleep, and wake up feeling completely refreshed. Damn, that's it. What happened to the promised 100 million, girl? Snap out of it. Wait, sleeping 10 hours a day, double that, wouldn't Sui Fang have to sleep 20 hours? Something seems off here. A faint trace of surprise seemed to flicker in the little black snake's eyes, but it still nodded. Granted, I sneered inwardly and continued. Second wish, I hope my weight stays at exactly 50 kilograms forever, unaffected by any factors and never changing. 50 kilograms, that's fine for a girl, but double would be 100 kilograms. Oh my god, locking in a 200-pound weight, that's adding insult to injury. Sui Fang cares the most about her appearance. My third wish, I practically hissed through gritted teeth, laced with icy malice, is that my period comes on time every month, with enough flow, and it must last a full 7 days. 7 days, double that would be 14 days, but a month only has 30 days, sis, bleed her brains out. And if the supporting female character usually has heavy flow, then the female lead's anemia isn't just a dream. Ha ha ha, I hereby declare that from today onward, Bai Yang is my internet spokesperson. No, wait, my wish spokesperson. Damn, you're ruthless, girl. This wish basically means Sui Fang won't wake up, will get fat as a pig, and cry from blood loss. The little black snake quietly watched me for a few seconds. Its gaze seemed complex for a fleeting moment before returning to its usual calm. As you wish. As soon as the words fell, I felt as if some invisible shackle had been placed upon me. Or perhaps some kind of connection had been established. At the same time, a faint warmth flowed through my body. The 3 wishes have already taken effect. I watched as the little black snake nodded slightly, then transformed into a wisp of black smoke and vanished. The back mountain remained silent, with only the rustling of leaves in the wind and the gradually fading barrage of comments that had saved my life before my eyes. I stood still, clenching my fists. No longer was fury churning in my chest, but rather a thrilling sensation brimming with intense anticipation. Sui Fang, my dear sister, didn't you love doubling things? Then savor to your heart's content this special double gift package I've prepared for you. Our game has only just begun. At 6:30 the next morning, my biological clock woke me up right on time. How strange. Normally in this house, my sleep quality is terrible. I wake up at the slightest sound and feel groggy afterward, but today I feel like I've been charging all night, refreshed in spirit and clear-eyed in mind. Even the sparrows on that crooked-necked tree outside the window look considerably more handsome. Is this the power of 10 hours of deep sleep? Love it, love it. I got up and freshened up in a rather good mood, then changed into my school uniform. The atmosphere in the dining room felt a bit off as I went downstairs. Sui Fang hadn't come down yet. Mother Su, my biological mother, was anxiously looking at the staircase. What's wrong with Ifang? She's usually down by this time. She's going to be late today. Father Su remained silent, just frowning as he flipped through the newspaper. My so-called brother Su Mingyu was yawning impatiently while stirring his milk with a spoon. I quietly took my seat and started nibbling on a steamed bun. The meat filling today seems exceptionally fragrant. After another 10 minutes, Mother Su couldn't sit still anymore. No, I have to go up and check. Just as she stood up, there was movement at the staircase. They saw Sui Fang holding onto the railing, staggering down step by step. She wore an exquisite lace nightgown, yet her hair was as messy as a bird's nest, and her usually meticulously maintained face was now deathly pale. 2 enormous dark circles under her eyes rivaled those of a national treasure. Mom, she said hoarsely, her voice thick with nasal congestion, I'm so sleepy. I feel like I just closed my eyes. Mother Su hurried over. Oh my dear, are you sick? You look so terrible. Sui Fang weakly waved her hand, her eyelids drooped heavily, almost falling asleep standing. I don't know, just so sleepy, my whole body feels weak. She staggered to the dining table, nearly face-planting into the bowl of oatmeal in front of her. Su Mingyu scooted away with a look of disgust. Ifang, were you out stealing at night? You look so exhausted. Seizing the moment, I put down my steamed bun and said in an utterly sincere tone, clearly enunciating each word, "Sis, your dark circles are so heavy they're practically dragging on the floor. Have you been studying too hard? You should take care of yourself." Sui Fang abruptly lifted her head, a flicker of irritation flashed through her drowsy eyes, but more than anything, it was an irresistible drowsiness. She opened her mouth to say something, but instead couldn't suppress a massive yawn, tears streaming from her eyes. "Ha ha ha, here it comes. Double sleep experience card, forced to sleep 20 hours a day. Who could possibly handle that?" Bai Yang's concern cuts deeper than any blade. "Sui Fang, I'm so sleepy, I'm so angry, but I can't say it." Father Su finally put down his newspaper and glanced at Sui Fang, his frown deepening. "What kind of behavior is this? Hurry up and eat, then go to school." In the end, Sui Fang was half carried, half supported by Mother Su and stuffed into the car. On the way to school, I sat in the passenger seat, watching her head nod little by little through the rearview mirror, like a chick pecking at rice. Several times she almost bumped into the car window. The driver couldn't help but remind her, "Young miss, perhaps you should sleep a bit more." The excitement continued when we arrived at school. The first class was taught by our homeroom teacher, who was just reaching the climax of his passionate lecture. So, the derivative of this function, snore, snन्न. A moderate yet distinctly audible snoring sound arose from the middle of the classroom. The entire class fell silent. Everyone turned their gaze toward the source of the sound in unison. Sui Fang, she was sprawled across her desk, sleeping so soundly that drool was about to drip onto her brand new textbook. The homeroom teacher's face instantly darkened like the bottom of a pot. "Sui Fang." Her deskmate quickly nudged her. Sui Fang jolted awake, lifting her head in confusion, a glistening strand still hanging at the corner of her mouth. Is class over?" Someone couldn't hold back their laughter first, then, the entire classroom erupted in barely suppressed chuckles. Classroom snoring performance artist, homeroom teacher, "Is my lecture this sleep-inducing?" Sui Fang, "Who am I? Where am I? Double the sleep, guaranteed to knock you out instantly in any situation." The homeroom teacher fumed, chest heaving. "Sui Fang, stand up right now. What were you doing last night?" Sui Fang's face flushed crimson, stammering incoherently. Could she possibly admit that she had gone to bed at 9 last night, yet felt as if she hadn't slept at all, and was still dead tired now? She looked at me pitifully, her eyes brimming with accusation. I immediately returned an innocent yet slightly concerned gaze, mouthing silently, "Hang in there, sis." She was so angry she nearly rolled her eyes, but under the teacher's stern gaze, she could only bite her lip and stand up, enduring the stares of the entire class. And this was just the beginning. In the following days, Sui Fang completely became the school's sleeping goddess. Whether it was between classes, during lunch breaks, or even walking down the hallway, she could fall asleep anytime, anywhere. The teachers went from anger to resignation. Eventually, it reached the point where as long as she wasn't snoring, her presence was tacitly acknowledged. Her classmates' gazes also shifted from initial astonishment to teasing and sympathy. "Hey, do you think Sui Fang has narcolepsy or something? Who knows, but she looks really miserable. She used to be such a goddess." And now, sigh, listening to these comments, I turned a page of my book expressionlessly. Is it miserable? This is just the beginning, my dear sister. You've only tasted the first hint of the blessings from the first wish. Just wait, 2 other big gifts are rushing towards you at full speed. A week later, the school organized its annual health checkup. Holding my medical examination form, I went through each item smoothly without any issues. Height and weight are within standard range. Vision 5.2, blood pressure and heart rate rock steady. Even the nurse drawing blood complimented me on how easy my veins were defined. When it was Sui Fang's turn, things got hilarious. In front of the height and weight scale, "Stand straight, student," the school nurse reminded. Sui Fang mustered her energy and stepped onto the scale. The device beeped a few times before announcing, "Height 165 centimeters, weight 50 kilograms. Several classmates nearby whispered, "That can't be right, didn't Fang say she's always maintained 45 kilograms, is the scale broken?" Sui Fang herself was stunned and instinctively retorted, "Impossible, I just weighed myself yesterday." The school nurse frowned and said, "Step off and then back on again." Sui Fang stepped onto the scale once more. Height 165 centimeters, weight 51 kg, weigh again, 52 kg. Sui Fang's face began to pale. "Here it comes. The weight locking effect is starting to show its power. Double of 100 gene is 200 gene. but this doesn't make sense, are you dumb? Bai Yang wished to maintain his own weight at 100 Jin, while Sui Fang got the double effect, meaning her weight uncontrollably stabilizes and increases toward 200 Jin. Damn, directly locking it at 100 Jin, that's adding insult to injury. Sui Fang took the most pride in her light weight, but now, this was just the appetizer. Then came the blood pressure and heart rate measurement. Sui Fang sat down, and the machine buzzed for a while. The school doctor frowned at the display screen. Classmate, haven't you been resting well lately? Your heart rate is a bit fast, and your blood pressure is slightly low. Sui Fang stammered. Next came the blood draw. When the needle went in, Sui Fang sharply inhaled a cold breath. It wasn't pain, but rather a sudden, indescribable weakness that made her vision go dark for a moment. Finally, all the reports were compiled. The school nurse held Sui Fang's stack of test results with a serious expression. Sui Fang, many of your indicators are hovering at critical levels. Look at this, and this. Although they don't meet the criteria for disease, they're far from ideal. Have you been staying up late regularly, eating irregularly, or under too much stress? Sui Fang stared at the wildly fluctuating arrows on the report, her hands trembling. She usually pays the most attention to skincare and maintenance. These things have always been beyond reproach. Medical report. I love defeating you in the field you're most confident about. All indicators are teetering on the edge of normal values. School doctor, in all my years of practice, I've never seen such perfectly balanced suboptimal health. Brilliant reverse operation of doubling health wishes. On her way back to the classroom after the physical examination, Sui Fang was so absent-minded that she almost bumped into the doorframe. I, timely, gave her a hand. My voice was neither too loud nor too soft, just enough for a few nearby classmates to hear. Sis, is your medical report okay? You look as pale as if you've got a terminal illness. What did the doctor say? Is it serious? The tone was full of worry, full of concern. Sui Fang abruptly shook off my hand, her eyes looking like she wanted to devour me. Shut up. Her reaction, in the eyes of others, was nothing short of sheer fury. Why is Yifang acting like this? Bai Yang was just concerned about her. The medical results must be really bad. She's completely lost her composure. I always thought she had a good temper, but now, Sui Fang listened to the surrounding whispers, her chest heaving violently, yet she couldn't utter a single word. What could she say? Admit that she was cursed by someone's wish. Returning home from school in the afternoon, Sue's mother greeted her as usual, first inquiring about her beloved Yifang. Fang, how was the physical exam today? Everything all right? Sui Fang bit her lip and handed over the report, her eyes instantly reddening upon seeing the indicators marked with arrows. Mrs. Sue immediately exclaimed, "Oh dear, what's going on, my precious daughter? How did your health get like this? Is it because you're not eating or sleeping well at school, or has someone been giving you a hard time?" As she spoke, she cast a meaningful glance in my direction. I was changing my shoes and looked up at her words, wearing just the right amount of surprise and concern on my face. "Mom, don't worry. Maybe sis just, well, needs some nourishment. I've heard sudden weight gain can sometimes be a precursor to endocrine disorders, and her complexion is so pale. Could she be anemic? She should eat more red dates and pork liver." With every word I spoke, Sui Fang's face darkened further. "Oh, right," I added as if just remembering, delivering the most crucial line while, accidentally, glancing at Sui Fang's pants. "Sis, lately, isn't your period coming soon? I think you might be leaking a bit. The back of your pants looks discolored." Sui Fang sprang up instantly, reaching back to feel her bottom, her face turning as colorful as a painter's palette. Sue's mother was also startled. She quickly pulled her upstairs. Hurry, go change your clothes. What's going on? The timing isn't right." Watching their flustered figures retreat upstairs, I leisurely picked up my school bag and headed to my room. Very well, I usually have a heavy flow, on the heavier side, and now it's doubled. I wonder if Sui Fang can handle it. Ever since the medical report came out, she's been treated like fragile glass at home. Her mother stuffs her with tonics 3 times a day, what with donkey hide gelatin, bird's nest, and ginseng. They practically wanted to fortify her into an indestructible body. Alas, how could mere mortal tonics contend with the power of a wish? The next day in math class, the teacher, nicknamed Grim-Faced King of Hell, was solving a complex problem in analytic geometry on the blackboard. The classroom was so quiet that only the sound of chalk tapping against the blackboard remained. Suddenly, Sui Fang, who was sitting diagonally in front of me, stiffened abruptly. Her face instantly turned pale, and fine beads of cold sweat broke out on her forehead. She clenched her legs tightly, her entire body frozen in an extremely awkward position on the seat. Alert, alert, the third wave of attack has arrived on the battlefield. 14-day deluxe period package. More for the same price, delivered right on time, double effect, double the pain, double the flow. Sui Fang, I feel like I'm about to hemorrhage. I could clearly see her hand gripping her school uniform skirt tightly under the desk, her knuckles turning white. Sui Fang, the math teacher turned around and adjusted his glasses. Can you tell us how the auxiliary line should be added in this step? Sui Fang trembled all over, struggling to stand up, but the moment she moved, she gasped sharply and slumped back into her seat, her face drained of color. Teacher, I have a stomachache. Her voice was weak, choked with tears. The math teacher hated it most when students made excuses during class, especially someone like Sui Fang who'd been causing frequent disruptions lately. His face darkened. Stomachache, weren't you fine just moments ago? Stand up and answer the question. Sui Fang was almost in tears. She felt like she was already flooded, with every movement risking a dam breach, but under the teacher's stern gaze and the watchful eyes of her classmates, she could only grit her teeth and muster all her strength, pushing herself up inch by inch with excruciating slowness. Just as her bottom was about to leave the chair, plop, a faint, wet sound was particularly clear in the silent classroom. Sui Fang's movements froze completely, her entire body seemed flash-frozen. The entire class is shocked, the math teacher is shocked. Then, a faint smell of blood began to spread. The girl sitting next to Sui Fang was the first to react. She looked down and instantly widened her eyes, letting out a short, startled cry. Ah! There, on Sui Fang's light blue school uniform skirt, was a shockingly large, deep red stain spreading ominously, and the stain was visibly expanding at an alarming rate. Holy shit, live broadcast, is this traffic? Did someone leave the faucet on? Double the effect, truly living up to its name. Sui Fang, let me die for a moment first. The entire class instantly erupted into chaos. Oh my god, so much blood. Sui Fang, she's leaking, this much blood, is she dying? Call the school nurse, quick. Sui Fang stood rooted to the spot, trembling all over, her face turning from deathly pale to ashen gray. She could feel the warm liquid flowing uncontrollably down her legs, she could hear the gasps and whispers of her classmates around her, and see the math teacher's expression shift from anger to shock, then to utter embarrassment. She had never been so humiliated in her entire life. Finally, it was the girl sitting next to her who reacted quickly, taking off her own coat to wrap around Sui Fang's waist. With the help of another girl, they practically carried the soul-departed Sui Fang, fleeing the classroom in utter disarray. After they left, the faint scent of blood still lingered in the classroom, along with the lingering awkwardness and whispers that refused to fade. Oh my god, that scared me to death. I thought something terrible had happened. That's way too intense. Does she have some kind of illness? She's bleeding so much. She wasn't like this before. Things have been really strange lately. The math teacher cleared his throat twice, trying to maintain order. Quiet, quiet, let's continue the lesson. But even his own hand holding the chalk trembled slightly. I sat in my seat, flipping to the next page of the book with an expressionless face. It seems the effects of punctuality and 7 days are both performing quite consistently. This is only the first day. My dear sister, please enjoy the taste of blood flowing like rivers for the remaining 6 days. I wonder if you're satisfied with your double joy. Sui Fang was sent directly home that day. It said that she received emergency treatment in the school clinic, but her blood-stained skirt and her blood flowing like rivers feet had already spread like wildfire throughout the entire grade. Even students from other grades had heard about it. After earning the title, Sleeping Beauty, she gained another notorious nickname, Bloody Disaster. Sui Fang took an extended leave of absence, hiding at home too ashamed to face anyone. I enjoy the peace and quiet every day. I eat well, sleep well, and stay full of energy, maintaining my position as the top student in the grade. My complexion is so rosy that even when Sue's mother occasionally glances at me, her expression becomes indescribably complex. Late one night, I got up to use the bathroom and, as I passed Sui Fang's room, I heard muffled, beast-like growls and the sound of things being thrown inside. Why is this happening? System, answer me. It was Sui Fang's voice, hoarse and filled with despair and madness. I paused my steps and silently moved closer to the door. High energy warning, iconic system crash moment, major breakdown scene ahead. What's stolen must eventually be returned. Where's my luck value? The luck value I've been saving for so long. Why has it been reset? Why is my health index still dropping? Cancel. I want to cancel these negative statuses, use my luck value to offset them. Offset failed. Why did it fail? Aren't you supposed to be an all-powerful system? It's by Yang. It must be that bitch's doing. She knows. She must know. A loud crash of shattering porcelain came from inside, accompanied by her heavy panting. No, I can't just let this go. If I'm ruined, she won't get off easy either. Then I heard her rummaging around for something, muttering under her breath. There's still one last forced plunder opportunity. Yes, forced plunder, even if it costs me all my life force. I'll drag her down to hell with me, plunder her health, plunder her intelligence, turn her into an idiot, make her suffer worse than me. My eyes instantly turned cold. Forced plunder, still trying to drag me down with you. At that moment, familiar bullet comments floated before my eyes again. Warning, Sui Fang has activated the ultimate self-destruct program. She's going to use her own life force to activate the system and carry out indiscriminate forced plundering. Run. Girl, this madwoman is trying to take everyone down with her. Where's the snake immortal? Someone help. Almost simultaneously, I sensed a cold, viscous aura seeping through the door crack, like countless icy hands trying to coil around my ankles and creep into my body. A slight dizziness washed over me. I straightened up, not retreating but instead facing the door, speaking in a clear and calm voice. Sui Fang. The commotion inside abruptly ceased. Don't waste your effort, I said with a hint of mockery. Didn't your system warn you? Greed invites retribution. You stole what was mine, now you're just repaying it with interest. The chilling aura seemed to freeze for a moment, then it grew even more frenzied, violently assaulting my body, yet it was as if an invisible barrier kept it at bay, leaving it to swirl futilely outside. Impossible. How could you? A disbelieving scream came from Sui Fang inside the door. How would I know? I chuckled lightly. Perhaps it's the snake immortal you know, who can't stand your greedy face. Ah! Sui Fang let out a hysterical scream, accompanied by the sound of more things being shattered. System, plunder, plunder for me. Before her words faded, a muffled thud suddenly came from inside the door, as if something had completely shattered. This was followed by Sui Fang's extremely brief and sharp wail, then everything fell into dead silence. The chilling aura that had been coiling around me vanished without a trace. Like ice and snow melting under sunlight, bullet comments floated before my eyes. System overload, core collapse, plundering program running in reverse, host's vitality is being drained, Sui Fang KO'd. I stood outside the door, quietly waiting for a few seconds. There was no more sound from inside. I yawned and turned to walk toward my own room. Tonight should bring a more peaceful and restful sleep. The next morning at the Su family villa began with Mrs. Su's piercing scream that seemed to split the sky. As usual, she went to wake Sui Fang for her tonic, only to find her daughter lying unconscious amidst utter chaos, her face ashen gray, with a small pool of barely dried blood beneath her, her breathing frighteningly faint. Fang, what's wrong? Don't scare me like this. Mrs. Su's wailing drew Mr. Su and Su Mingyu over. After a chaotic commotion, the ambulance rushed the unconscious Sui Fang away with its siren blaring. The three members of the Su family hurriedly followed to the hospital, completely forgetting there was still someone like me left at home. I leisurely finished my breakfast and glanced at my class schedule. There was an important physics competition tutoring session this morning. Can't afford to be late. When I arrived at the VIP floor of the private hospital where Sui Fang was staying after school in the afternoon, carrying my backpack, before I even reached the door of the ward, I could hear Su's mother's tearful questioning inside. Doctor, what's wrong with my daughter? Why can't you find the cause? She's just been lethargic, gaining weight, and bleeding non-stop, and now she's completely unconscious. She used to be very healthy. A male doctor's voice that sounds utterly helpless. Mrs. Su, we've run every possible test. Miss Su's bodily functions are extremely unusual. All her indicators are in a state of critically low balance, resembling severe malnutrition combined with exhaustion from overexertion. Yet her intake is clearly sufficient. This persistent, unexplained metabolic disorder and bleeding. We've truly done all we can. Overexertion, exhaustion. Su's father's voice carried shock and a hint of barely concealed irritation. How could a high school student like her be overdrawn to this extent? Just then, I pushed the door open and walked in. In the hospital room, Sui Fang lay unconscious on the bed, wearing an oxygen mask. Her face was paler than the sheets. The three members of the Su family and the attending physician were gathered around the bed. Seeing me enter, Mrs. Su immediately seemed to find an outlet for her emotions. With reddened eyes, She pointed at me and said, "It's you, it must be you, ever since you came back, Fang hasn't had anything good happen to her, are you jinxing her? You're nothing but bad luck, Mr. Su remained silent with a furrowed brow, but his gaze at me was also filled with scrutiny and displeasure. Su Mingyu wore an expression that clearly said, "What trouble are you causing now?" I put down my backpack with a look of shock and innocence. "Mom, how can you say that? I'm really worried about my sister being sick too." I walked to the bedside, looked at the unconscious Sui Fang, and sighed. "Actually, I think I might know a little about the reason." Instantly, everyone's eyes were fixed on me. "What do you know? Speak up." Father Su spoke urgently. I blinked and said in a reminiscent tone, "Just a few days ago, I accidentally overheard sister muttering to herself in her room, saying something about a system, luck points, plundering, and words like double or backlash. It sounded really creepy. A system, plundering." Su Mingyu scoffed. "Has Sui Fang gone crazy from playing games?" But Father Su and Mother Su's expressions suddenly changed drastically. They exchanged a doubtful and uncertain glance. "Here comes the bombshell. Here comes the bombshell." The parents actually knew. They tacitly allowed it. What a rotten family. "Little sister, hurry and tear off their masks." "What nonsense are you talking about?" Mother Su retorted sharply, but her confidence was clearly lacking. "I'm not talking nonsense." I continued to fan the flames, casting an innocent glance at Father Su. "Dad, Mom, do you also know something? I remember one time, I seemed to hear you telling sister to make good use of something." The word struck like a thunderbolt, leaving Su's parents pale as a sheet. You misheard," Father Su snapped harshly. But the panic in his eyes was unmistakable. Just then, Sui Fang on the hospital bed seemed to be agitated by our argument. She suddenly convulsed violently beneath the oxygen mask. Her lips trembled, emitting an extremely faint yet clear enough whisper for everyone present to hear. "System, by Yang, wish, double, mine, all should be mine, steal, snatch." The fragmented words, pieced together, conveyed a meaning that couldn't be more obvious. The ward was deathly silent. Su's father and mother stood frozen in place, their faces drained of color. Su Mingyu was also stunned. He looked incredulously at Sui Fang on the hospital bed, then at his parents, before finally fixing his gaze on me, opened his mouth but couldn't utter a single word. The attending physician adjusted his glasses and wisely chose to remain silent, quietly taking a step back to minimize his presence. "No wonder they say wealthy families often produce fools. Is there something wrong with this entire family?" I watched the colorful expressions on this family's faces and sneered inwardly. Now the truth is out. I brushed off non-existent dust from my backpack and said lightly, "It seems my sister got too greedy and suffered backlash. Doctor, there's nothing else for me to do here, right? I need to go back and finish my homework, so I'll leave first." After saying that, I didn't look at any of them again. I turned around and walked briskly out of that disgusting hospital room. Returning from the hospital, the Su family villa was enveloped in an eerie atmosphere. Su's father sat on the living room sofa, smoking one cigarette after another, and the ashtray quickly filled up. Su's mother sat beside him wiping her tears, murmuring incessantly, "How could this happen? What will Ifang do? Didn't that system guarantee there would be no problems?" Su Mingyu grabbed his hair in frustration. When he saw me enter, his eyes were filled with mixed emotions. He moved his lips but said nothing. I went straight upstairs and returned to that pitifully simply decorated bedroom that belonged to guests. I pulled my suitcase out from under the bed. When I was first recognized and brought back, this was all I had brought with me. I carefully packed all my belongings, a few faded old clothes, some important notebooks and competition materials, along with my ID card and student ID, into the suitcase. Everything the Su family bought for me, clothes, accessories, even that laptop, I left them all untouched, exactly where they were. After packing up, I pulled my suitcase downstairs. The sound of the wheels rolling was especially jarring in the silent living room. Su's father and mother looked up simultaneously, with Su's mother shrilly asking, "What are you doing?" I stopped at the staircase, calmly sweeping my gaze over them. "Leaving this place." "Leaving? Where are you going?" Father Su suddenly stood up, his brows tightly furrowed. "The house is already in chaos, and you're just adding to the mess. Go back to your room and stay there." Adding to the mess, I almost burst out laughing. "This is not my home," I said flatly. "From today onward, I have nothing to do with your Su family." "What nonsense are you talking about, Mrs. Su?" reacted as if her tail had been stepped on. "You're our daughter. How can you just sever blood ties like that?" "Daughter," I repeated, finding the word utterly ironic. "Did you raise me for even a single day? In these 3 months, Have you ever treated me like a daughter, in your eyes? I'm just an outsider who suddenly barged in and disrupted your family harmony, or worse, disposable material to pave the way for your precious adopted daughter, aren't I, Mr. Sue's face turned livid. How dare you speak like that? How do I speak? Do I need to remind you about Sui Fang's double system? Do I need to remind you who allowed her to bind with me and plunder my luck? Now that she's suffering backlash, you remember I'm your daughter. Too late. Su Mingyu seemed to want to say something. By Yang, Mom and Dad. I cut him off directly. Save it. Young Master Su, your whole family is rotten to the core. I find it disgusting. Serve them right. So satisfying. What a bunch of vampires this family is. This girl's logic is razor sharp, and her fighting spirit is off the charts. Cut ties, absolutely cut ties. The fact that your household registration hasn't been transferred is practically divine intervention. Mother Su trembled with rage at my words, blurting out angrily, "Go. Just go if you dare. Let's see where a penniless high school student like you can go. Don't come crawling back to us crying later." I smiled faintly and pulled out a bank card from the hidden compartment of my backpack, waving it slightly. "Don't worry, I won't starve. This contains all the scholarships and competition prizes I've earned over the years. Every penny is clean. As for your Su family," I paused, enunciating each word with perfect clarity. "By Yang, my name, has never been registered under your household, legally. We have no ties, whether you live or die, prosper or struggle in the future. It's none of my concern. Likewise, my affairs are none of your business." Father Su's hand trembled as he pointed at me. You ungrateful wretch." Gratitude, I laughed as if hearing the most absurd joke. "To those who birth but don't raise, a severed finger suffices as repayment. To those who raise without birthing, 100 lifetimes cannot repay the debt. I owe you nothing. Don't even think of guilting me with your so-called morality." With that, I stopped paying them any attention. Dragging my suitcase, I strode out the gate of the Su family villa. The sunlight was somewhat blinding, but I felt completely at ease, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from my shoulders. Goodbye to that gilded cage behind me, and the disgusting mess inside it. My path lies ahead. Dragging my suitcase, I went straight to the school dormitory. Thanks to my consistent ranking as the top student in my grade and the numerous competition awards I've won for the school, both my homeroom teacher and the school administrators showed me special favor as an outstanding student. After briefly explaining my family situation, the school specially approved my application to move into the dormitory. They also proactively helped me apply for the highest amount of financial aid and scholarships. Life became 100 times more comfortable than when I was with the Su family. Meanwhile, the situation with the Su family took a sharp downturn, as if they were on a roller coaster, sliding all the way into the depths of the mire. First was Sui Fang. The hospital exhausted all means but could only barely sustain her vital signs. She drifted in and out of consciousness, staring blankly at the ceiling when awake, her eyes hollow, muttering repeatedly about system, double, it's over, occasionally screaming suddenly and smashing things, appearing utterly deranged. Continuous hemorrhage and metabolic disorders rapidly drained her vitality. Her once meticulously maintained face and figure completely deteriorated, making her look at least 10 years older than her actual age. The enormous medical expenses devoured the Su family's cash flow like a bottomless pit. Soon after, someone leaked all the messy affairs of the Su family, the true and fake heiresses, the adopted daughter falling seriously ill and suspected of being cursed, and the biological daughter running away from home. Although it didn't make mainstream news, it spread like wildfire in local gossip forums and among wealthy socialite circles. Shocking. Turmoil in the Su family mansion. Adopted daughter gravely ill, suspected of karma retribution for stealing the true heiress's fortune. Aristocratic family secrets. The true heiress scholar has severed ties and left, declaring the Su family rotten to the core. Inside scoop. The Su family's cash flow is extremely tight recently, borrowing money everywhere. As soon as rumors spread, business partners began to weigh their options. Several well-negotiated projects suddenly saw the other party becoming evasive, either making excuses or outright canceling. Loan approvals from the bank have also become unusually slow. Mr. Su was so anxious that he developed blisters on his lips and lost his temper at the company every day, but the decline was already evident. As for Su's mother, she, on the other hand, wanted to continue playing the role of the loving mother, staying by Sui Fang's hospital bedside, but seeing Sui Fang's half-human, half-ghost appearance, listening to her delirious ramblings, coupled with the ugly rumors outside and their increasingly dire financial situation, her patience and maternal love were rapidly dwindling. Once, a caregiver even overheard her complaining in hushed tones to Sue's father outside the hospital room, "It's a bottomless pit. If this continues, she'll drag our entire family down." Su Mingyu wasn't faring any better either. His so-called friends still pretended to be polite on the surface, but behind his back, they often mocked his family for having bad feng shui and raising a jinx. Several of his startup projects, which he had relied on his family to sustain, also went under. With no source of income, he idled around all day, and the frequency of arguments with his parents at home increased. Once prosperous and illustrious, the Su family was now plagued by internal strife and external turmoil. The expensive villas all seemed to be shrouded in a gloomy hue. Meanwhile, in my dorm room, I scrolled through the occasional gossip about the Su family's predicament that popped up. On my phone, my heart remained utterly unmoved, even feeling a slight urge to laugh. This is what they call, the wicked are tormented by their own kind. No, they themselves are the greatest evil. Rot away, go ahead and rot in the mud. Tearing at each other. Day by day passed. With less than 2 months left until the college entrance exams, my daily routine shuttles between the dormitory, classroom, and library. Life feels as tightly wound as a clockwork spring. Each mock exam result surpasses the last in brilliance, earning me even the most critical teacher's approving gaze that whispers, "Top scholar potential." The financial aid and scholarships cover all my living expenses with enough left over to save. I bought myself new reference books. Occasionally when I get hungry while studying at night, I can even luxuriously make myself a cup of milk and add a spiced egg. This feeling of relying on myself is solid and reassuring. One Friday evening, I finished the last set of exam papers, closed my book, and suddenly felt a stirring in my heart. It's time. I quietly slipped alone to the back hill of the Su family's villa. This place was no different from when I first saved the little black snake, overgrown with wild grass, silent and deserted. Approaching the loose boulder, I stopped and spoke softly, "Great Snake Immortal, are you there?" As soon as the words left my lips, a faint wisp of black smoke curled up from the crevice in the rock. It coalesced into the familiar little black snake. Perched atop the stone, its dark eyes gazed at me with what seemed like a hint of understanding. "Mortal, you have come." "I've come to thank you," I said sincerely, "and to settle the final karmic debt." The serpent immortal nodded slightly. "Sui Fang's system has collapsed, her vitality exhausted. She has already received her retribution. The Su family's fortune declines, burdened by karma. They too have brought this upon themselves. What would you have, since you've come to fulfill your vow? I shall grant you one final wish." I looked at it and spoke my last wish clearly and firmly. "Great Serpent Immortal, I wish for all karmic ties and fateful entanglements between me and the Su family, Sui Fang, and her remaining system to be completely severed, vanishing without a trace, never to exist again. I want no further connections with them whatsoever, not even negative bonds like hatred. I want to walk cleanly and thoroughly into my own future." A glimmer of approval flashed in the serpent immortal's eyes. "Good." It opened its mouth and exhaled an extremely fine, nearly invisible golden thread. One end of the thread connected to my chest, while the other stretched far into the distance, pointing toward the Su family villa and the hospital where Sui Fang lay. At the silent thought of the serpent immortal, the golden thread snapped in response. Slap, a faint, almost imperceptible sound. As if emanating from the depths of the soul, I felt the last vestige of invisible restraint vanish completely, my entire body so light it seemed as if I might float away. An unprecedented clarity and sense of freedom flooded through me. At the same time, I saw the broken golden threads dissolve into specks of golden light, completely vanishing into the air. The nauseating connection between me, the Su family, and Sui Fang was severed. The karma has been cleared. The voice of the snake immortal carried a hint of ethereality. "From now on, your fate lies entirely in your own hands." I bowed deeply toward it. "Thank you, Great Snake Immortal." When I raised my head, the little black snake on the stone had already vanished without a trace. I knew it had fulfilled its debt of gratitude, and our bond had come to an end. The warm glow of the setting sun bathed me in its light. Taking a deep breath of the mountain air, fragrant with the scent of grass and trees, I turned and walked briskly down toward the city below, where lights were just beginning to twinkle. There is my examination hall, my university. There is a future I've earned with my own hands, clean and pure. Everything about the Su family is now a thing of the past. On the day of the college entrance exam, the weather was clear and fine. I walked into the examination hall, my mind as calm as a deep pool. The test papers were handed out, and the soft scratching of pen on paper was the only melody in my ears. Those complex formulas and obscure classical texts seemed as docile as little lambs in my eyes. 2 months later, the college entrance exam results were announced. Early in the morning, my phone was blowing up with calls. My homeroom teacher's voice was hoarse from shouting, "Bai Yang, top scorer, you're the provincial science champion. The admissions officers from Tsinghua and Peking University are already at the school. Come down quickly." Holding the phone, I couldn't help but grin from ear to ear. Soon, reporters and curious classmates swarmed the dormitory entrance, blocking it completely. Poor family produces outstanding child, and true academic prodigy makes a comeback, instantly dominated the headlines of local news. A huge red banner was hung at the school entrance. "Warm congratulations to our student Bai Yang for winning the provincial science top scorer." The sound of firecrackers and cheers almost lifted the sky. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the Su family villa was enveloped in a lifeless silence. Father Su watched the TV screen, where I was surrounded by reporters, my smile confident and composed, his grip on the teacup tightening until it creaked. The news headline was particularly glaring: "Disowned top student stands strong, triumphs as provincial champion." Bang! He finally couldn't hold back and smashed the teacup fiercely onto the ground, sending shards and tea splattering everywhere. Why, how dare that unfilial daughter! The veins on his forehead bulged, and his chest heaved violently. Mother Su, her eyes reddened, stared at my face on the TV, somewhat resembling hers yet far more dazzling, feeling as if a mix of emotions had been overturned in her heart. If she hadn't left, this glory should have belonged to our Su family. Ha ha ha, sour grapes making them jump. The glory belongs to your Su family. Pa, shameless. The young lady earned it with her own abilities. What does it have to do with you? Su Mingyu irritably turned off the TV and shouted, "Stop watching, isn't it annoying?" Yet his own expression was equally grim. His abysmal academic performance couldn't even get him into a decent undergraduate program. He used to console himself with his family's wealth, but now that their business had plummeted, he'd lost even that last shred of superiority. What frustrated them even more was that because of my top scholar title and my decisive act of cutting ties, all those rumors about the Su family resurfaced, and this time, they spread even more viciously. Look, their own flesh and blood was driven to sever ties. And then she went on to become the top scholar. What does that tell you? It proves the Su family is worthless, utterly hopeless. I heard their adopted daughter is still draining money in the hospital. Serves them right. The Su family must be nothing but an empty shell now, right? How dare they look down on a real top scholar? These discussions were like needles, making the 3 members of the Su family restless and uneasy. Meanwhile, my phone kept ringing incessantly. To compete for talent, Tsinghua and Peking universities offered extremely generous terms, full scholarships, freedom to choose any major, opportunities for combined bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs. Even some companies caught wind of the news and wanted to sponsor all my expenses during university. I calmly weighed each option. The sourness and regret emanating from the Su family's mess had long been filtered out by me. Their suffering was merely the faintest background noise on my path to success. Time is the ultimate judge, is also the most ruthless executor. While I was enjoying the admission letter from a prestigious university and praise from all sides, preparing to embark on a new journey, the Su family's mess finally sank completely into the stench. First was Sui Fang. After burning through the Su family's last bit of liquid assets in the hospital, her condition showed no sign of improvement. The body drained by the double wish and system backlash was like a deflated sack. No amount of patching could save it. On a gloomy morning, the nurse found her ECG had flatlined during rounds. Cause of death: multiple organ failure accompanied by severe metabolic disorder and persistent blood loss. She died with a grayish pallor, her body still carrying that lingering scent of blood. The once meticulously maintained fake heiress ended her brief yet greedy life in the most undignified manner, succumbing to illness and madness. Madame Su fainted on the spot when she received the hospital's notification. Upon waking, she gazed at Sui Fang's cold corpse, feeling not much grief but rather a numb sense of relief. Sui Fang's funeral was conducted with extreme haste and carelessness. The Su family couldn't even scrape together enough money for a decent burial plot, so they had to hastily cremate her and place the urn in a cheap niche. Not a single one of her former sycophantic friends showed up. Serves her right. Grasping all, she lost all. What a brutal yet satisfying end. No place even for ashes. Sui Fang died, but the misfortune of the Su family did not end. The company's funding chain completely collapsed. with banks demanding repayment and suppliers blocking the doors. Sue's father tried to rob Peter to pay Paul, even borrowing from loan sharks, but ultimately failed to reverse the decline. The company declared bankruptcy liquidation but was insolvent. The villa, cars, and all valuable possessions were seized and auctioned off by the court to repay debts. In just a few months, the Sue family went from being so-called tycoons to utter destitution. The family of three dragged a few shabby suitcases and moved out of the villa that symbolized their former glory, their faces covered in dust, renting a rundown, damp, cockroach-infested apartment in an old urban village. Sue's father couldn't bear the immense disparity and the pressure from creditors, leaving him somewhat mentally disoriented. While fleeing from debt collectors, he was knocked down by a speeding electric bike, fracturing his lower leg. The rider was a penniless laborer who couldn't afford to compensate him. He could only drag his injured leg and lie on the moldy-smelling bed in the rented room, wailing and cursing. As for Sue's mother, she had lived a life of luxury for most of her years, without acquiring any skills. Forced to wash dishes at a restaurant, she broke over a dozen plates within 2 days, was scolded to tears by the boss, and promptly thrown out. She tried seeking help from her former sisters, but wasn't even allowed through the door, receiving only a few hollow words of sympathy and a firmly shut entrance. Su Mingyu was even more useless, can't carry a load on the shoulders nor lift with the hands, yet still can't let go of the young master's heirs, finding jobs too tiring and the pay too meager. He stays holed up in a rented room playing games all day. When the money runs out, he quarrels with his parents, calling them useless old fools for cutting off his good life. The whole family squeezed into a cramped space, endlessly blaming and bickering with each other. Poverty-stricken couples find sorrow in everything, let alone these three utterly selfish individuals. The hypocritical familial bonds of the past were torn to shreds in the face of harsh reality. They were like three maggots trapped in mud, biting and tearing at each other in filth and despair, sinking deeper with no hope of escape. Before boarding the plane to the city where my university was located, I heard about the tragic downfall of the Sue family from an old classmate. I closed the chat window expressionlessly and zipped up my suitcase. The miserable fate of the wicked only confirmed the simple truth that evil begets evil, and my journey is toward the stars and the sea. These maggots in the mud aren't even worth a glance from me. The plane soared into the clouds, leaving far behind that city which bore my brief suffering and ultimate triumph. University life was unprecedentedly vast and free, a top-tier institution, gathering the brightest minds from across the nation. Here, no one knows about the Sue family's scandals, and no one cares about my past as the real or fake heiress. The label has been completely torn off. I am just Bai Yang, a top student who quickly stood out among freshmen with perfect grades and several research projects. I devoured knowledge voraciously, and pulling all-nighters in the lab became routine. The professor, impressed by my sharpness and diligence, extended an olive branch. I joined the most elite research group, working on projects with senior students. By the second semester of my freshman year, my name appeared as the second author on a paper published in a core academic journal. Scholarships, competition prizes, project stipends. I became completely financially independent and even started saving money. I rented a clean and cozy apartment near campus, decorated it to my liking, kept 2 pots of pothose plants, and sunlight would fill the entire living room. Occasionally, I would hear fragments of news about what happened to the Sue family. Afterward, Sue's father couldn't afford proper treatment for his leg injury, which left him disabled. He hobbled when walking and could only barely make ends meet by setting up a small roadside stall selling cheap socks and gloves, all while constantly dodging city inspectors and his former creditors. Sue's mother completely turned into a resentful woman, arguing fiercely with vendors over mere pennies at the vegetable market. Her former elegance as a noblewoman utterly vanished. She aged rapidly, her hair turning gray and her eyes growing dull. Su Mingyu, I heard he later got involved with a gang of troublemakers and ended up seriously injuring someone in a fight, landing himself in jail. What awaited him was prison time. A family of 3, some dead, some disabled, some imprisoned. In that filthy, chaotic urban village, they became the cautionary tale neighbors used to warn their children. See that's what happens when you have too much money and do bad things. Now they're paying the price. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. What a satisfying ending for this family. The young lady has truly ascended. During my sophomore year, I went abroad as a student representative to attend an international academic conference. Standing on the stage, delivering my research findings fluently in English, I met the approving gazes of top scholars from around the world. At that moment, under the spotlight, the future seemed bright. Suddenly, I remembered the little black snake from the back mountain and the wish that changed my destiny, rather than saying the snake deity gave me a new life. It would be more accurate to say it awakened me. It was always me who truly seized fate and fought with all my might. After the meeting, I received an invitation for a combined master's and doctoral program from a more prestigious university abroad, along with a research assistant offer with an astonishingly high stipend. Without the slightest hesitation, I accepted. Standing on the historic campus in a foreign land, I gazed at the azure sky and the flying white doves. Taking a deep breath of the air of freedom, everything about the Sioux family feels like a lifetime ago. The people and events that once caused me pain and struggle now seem hazy, as if viewed through frosted glass, so indistinct that even hatred feels like a waste of emotion. My world is entirely different now. I am Bai Yang, stand tall and resilient, reaching for the sunlight, growing wild and free. As for those pasts rotting in the mire, let them remain eternally damned. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The only daughter of the richest man suddenly suffered a relapse of heart disease during military training, her face turning purple as she lay on the ground convulsing. Her boyfriend, who was a drill instructor, only acted because of a murmur from his green tea roommate Zhou Qian. No issues normally, but as soon as it's military training, she gets sick, definitely trying to slack off. He really didn't check or call an ambulance, and he kicked the medicine she managed to grab in her struggle into the river. Pretend to be dead and get lost, don't drag us down. I was horrified and suddenly plunged into the river, almost suffocating underwater. The pill was finally fished out, the girl was saved, but her billionaire father was furious and demanded accountability. I cried and begged the girl not to implicate her boyfriend, and she silently nodded. Her boyfriend narrowly escaped, but Zhou Qian, due to malicious instigation, indirectly endangered the life of the billionaire's daughter, expelled from school directly, with a stain of bad conduct left in the records. 3 days after returning to my hometown, I was forced by my family to marry an old bachelor with a violent temper to settle a debt. The daughter of the richest man was grateful for my life-saving act and became my best friend. Her father, with a wave of his hand, directly included me in the family trust's beneficiary list, with a share second only to his daughters. The news of Zhou Qian being beaten to death by the old bachelor spread that night. My boyfriend, full of affection, invited me to hike at the place where we first met. At the steep edge of the mountain, he pretended to help me wipe the sweat off, but suddenly, he snatched my backpack filled with supplies and a life-saving whistle, and brutally pushed me off the mountain. Why did you interfere? If you didn't save her, she would have died and couldn't have testified against Zhou Qian. You murderer, you deserve to die. My cervical spine was fractured, and I died tragically at the foot of the mountain. After my death, my boyfriend, as my fiancé, not only claimed my trust fund benefits, I also sponsored impoverished students under Zhou Qian's name, earning widespread praise. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my wealthy father's daughter fell ill. If you're faking it, get lost, don't drag us down with you. The angry shout of my boyfriend, instructor Zhang Zhe, rang in my ears. I suddenly opened my eyes and saw Lin Wan, the daughter of the richest man, lying on the ground, her face purple, convulsing and curled up. Seeing the same scene as in my previous life, I realized that I had been reborn. She's always so lively, but as soon as military training starts, she pretends to be sick. If you want to slack off, don't be so obvious about it. I think she's just relying on being from abroad and deliberately not taking the instructor seriously. Zhou Qian stood a few steps away from Lin Wan, her arms crossed, and sneered sarcastically. As soon as Zhang Zhe heard this, his face darkened immediately, and he promptly gave an order to everyone present. Lin Wan feigned illness to avoid training, showing complete disregard for discipline. Because of her, all of you will run an additional 20 laps, right now, immediately, 20 laps. The moment everyone heard this, they exploded in uproar. Why should we? We didn't do anything wrong. Exactly, what does Lin Wan pretending to be sick have to do with us? In an instant, complaints filled the air, and everyone turned their anger towards Lin Wan. Stop pretending, get up, do you want to get us killed? A girl couldn't hold back and rushed directly to Lin Wan, kicking her right away. Cough, cough, cough. Lin Wan was already having trouble breathing, and this kick made her face even more pale. At the same time, more classmates surrounded her, hitting and kicking Lin Wan to vent their anger. Pretend, let you pretend, does having money make you special? You jerk, stop it, this is school bullying, it's illegal. I screamed and rushed over. Zhou Qian, however, blocked my path, hands on her hips, looking extremely arrogant. So what if it's school bullying? Haven't you seen the news? That elementary school student in Qingqing was buried alive by a few classmates, and in the end, the bullies got away with nothing. We were just teaching her a lesson. Making her remember, we didn't even kill her. You're in such a hurry to be a hero, showing off to whom? You must be crazy trying to suck up to her. Her words immediately garnered agreement from the others. Medicine, my medicine. At that moment, Lin Wan's weak voice struggled to emerge. She tightly clutched her heaving chest with one hand, while the other trembled as it reached into her pocket. Medicine. How could I have forgotten about that? I lunged toward Lin Wan, my hand quickly reaching into her pocket. How could it be empty? My heart sank, and I quickly looked around. There was Zhou Qian, smirking as she held a small white pill bottle. Were you looking for this? TSK, so pampered, carrying medicine with you. Wouldn't it be a prop for pretending to be sick? Zhou Qian, quickly give me the medicine. Lin Wan is about to die, I shouted anxiously. Sure. Zhou Qian stepped lightly back, tapping the ground in front of her with her toes, her smile malicious. As long as you kowtow 3 times to me, while kowtowing, shout loudly. I was wrong, I'm a lowly wretch, I meddled in other people's business, I deserved it. Then I'll give you the medicine. Zhou Qian, don't go too far. I was trembling with anger, not going to kneel. Zhou Qian pretended to loosen her fingers. Then I'll just throw it away, and by then, it'll be too late for regrets. Realizing that confronting them head-on at this moment would be useless and would only make Lin Wan's situation more dangerous, I gritted my teeth, knelt down, and slammed my forehead heavily onto the ground, my voice trembling but clear. I was wrong, I'm a lowly wretch, I meddled in affairs that didn't concern me, I deserved it. After the 3 loud kowtows, a faint trace of blood was already seeping from my forehead. Now that should be enough. Quickly give me the medicine. Zhou Qian clearly hadn't expected me to humble myself to such an extent, and she was momentarily stunned before bursting into a shrill laugh. What a despicable person indeed. For the sake of climbing higher, she doesn't even care about her face anymore. Then, she pretended to bend down to hand over the medicine, but just as my fingertips were about to touch the bottle, she suddenly jerked her hand up. The medicine bottle traced an arc through the air and plopped accurately into the nearby sewer. Oh dear, I must have slipped. Zhou Qian dramatically covered her mouth, her eyes filled with undisguised malicious glee. Seeing the only life-saving medicine gone, Lin Wan's body stiffened abruptly before she collapsed weakly to the ground. Filled with rage, I wanted to rush up and fight Zhou Qian, but was held back by her lackeys. Want to save her? Take a good look at yourself. Who do you think you are? A girl next to Zhou Qian yanked my hair forcefully and cursed viciously. Su Yu, have you had enough? Zhang Zhe also shoved me hard to the ground, spreading rumors, causing trouble. Do you even have me, your instructor, in your eyes? Zhang Zhe, are you blind? Can't you see Lin Wan is about to collapse? If we delay any longer, she really might die. I pointed at Lin Wan, who was barely breathing on the ground, and shouted at the top of my lungs, dead. Zhou Qian raised her voice and let out a light laugh. Everyone, listen, how well they coordinate. One pretends to be sick so convincingly, and the other is here acting like she's on the verge of death. They really think we're fools. If we don't teach them a lesson, they'll really think we're easy targets. Sisters, let's go, let's teach them a lesson. Zhou Qian gave the order, and the few girls around her immediately surrounded us. They hit and kicked both me and Lin Wan, and some even started to tear off Lin Wan's clothes. Bitch, we'll strip you naked. If you're not afraid of exposing yourself, keep pretending. No. I lunged over like a madman, using all my strength to push away the girls who were attacking, and tightly shielded Lin Wan beneath me. Aren't you afraid of causing a fatal accident like this? Shut up. Zhou Qian rushed over and slapped me hard across the face, the sting burning. Causing a fatal accident? We're going to beat you up today, and I'd like to see what you can do about it. After saying that, Zhou Qian raised her hand again, ready to strike me. Zhang Zhe, are you just going to stand there and watch? Are you even human? I shouted at Zhang Zhe, who was standing not far away, looking like he was enjoying the show. Zhang Zhe let out a cold laugh, crossed his arms, and looked indifferently. People who are habitual liars and have no regard for discipline deserve to be taught a lesson, to learn their place. Who told you to act along with her? Besides, I'm just doing my duty as an instructor, maintaining the discipline of the military training. His words made me so angry that I was trembling all over, and the world around me seemed to go dark. You'll regret this, I said through gritted teeth. Regret? Zhang Zhe scoffed disdainfully. When it comes to my actions, I've never known how to write the word regret. At that moment, Lin Wan suddenly let out a faint moan and her body began to convulse violently. Lin Wan, I exclaimed in shock and quickly bent down to check on her condition. Her face had turned ashen, her lips drained of color, and her entire body was trembling uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Zhou Qian and the others continued to throw punches in this situation. Enough, Zhang Zhe, seeming to realize that things were getting out of hand, furrowed his brows and shouted to stop everyone. Only then did they stop their assault. Zhou Qian still seemed unrelenting at this moment. Taking advantage of Zhang Zhe's inattention, she kicked me hard in the stomach with all her strength. The force of that kick was so strong that it made me curl up in pain, almost unable to catch my breath. A sudden rush of blood surged up my throat, and I couldn't hold it back, vomiting it out. At that moment, a distant siren could be heard approaching from afar. The ambulance finally arrived. The ambulance stopped, and the medical staff jumped out with a stretcher. Where is the injured person? Who is the student having a heart attack? It's me. Zhou Qian instantly switched to a pained, twisted expression and rushed forward, clutching her chest. My chest hurts, I can't breathe. As she spoke, she pretended to be weak and leaned against the nurse. Zhou Qian, I wanted to stand up, but the pain in my body was too intense, and I fell back to the ground. Zhou Qian seized the opportunity and urgently cried out, don't just stand there, quickly, a stretcher, save me quickly. Zhang Zhe quickly supported Zhou Qian, blocking the nurse's view. She's the patient, save her first. Seeing the paramedics about to lift Zhou Qian onto the stretcher, I quickly pointed at Lin Wan on the ground and shouted, nurse, don't listen to him. Lin Wan is the one who's really sick, she's faking it. Su you had enough, Zhang Zhe shouted sternly. Not only did you fake being sick with Lin Wan, but now you want to delay the treatment of the real patient. You're beyond saving. Comrade nurse, please take Zhou Qian to the vehicle immediately. As for Lin Wan, he glanced at Lin Wan, lying lifeless on the ground. When she's done acting, she'll get up on her own. The nurse clearly believed the instructor and the majority. Quick, first get this student Zhou Qian onto the stretcher. No. Seeing the medical staff about to leave, I panicked and desperately lunged forward, gripping the nurse's arm tightly. Nurse, please look at her. Look at Lin Wan, she's dying. The nurse, caught by my grip on her arm, paused for a moment, frowned, and looked down at Lin Wan on the ground. Lin Wan's face had turned a ghastly shade of purple, her lips completely devoid of color. She lay motionless on the ground, appearing to have lost consciousness. It was only then that the nurse realized the seriousness of the situation and quickly crouched down to examine her. In the next second, her expression changed dramatically. Quick, stretcher, save this one first, hurry. No way, Zhou Qian screamed as she sat up from the stretcher. I'm the one who's injured, she's faking it, don't be fooled. Exactly. Zhang Zhe immediately stepped forward, blocking the stretcher. Nurse, isn't saving people about prioritizing the urgent cases? Zhou Qian is in serious danger right now. With so many people watching, you're leaving the living person who's in pain unattended, and instead, you're carrying someone who's pretending to be dead. What kind of behavior is that? Spread this around, and it won't be good for your hospital's reputation either. Can you take responsibility for this? Yes, save Zhou Qian first. Lin Wan is already in that state, saving her is pointless. The other students around also joined in the commotion. The nurse looked at the chaotic scene, struggling with the dilemma. All right then, Zhou Qian, please get on the bus first. Lin Wan's condition is critical, so let's lift her up too, but only one family member can accompany them in the vehicle. The rest will have to wait for the next one or go to the hospital on their own. This was almost the best outcome that could be secured at the moment. A glimmer of hope instantly rose in my heart. No, I don't agree, Zhou Qian screamed again, glaring at me with venom in her eyes. What gives her the right to ride in the same car as me? As she spoke, her eyes darted around, and she pointed at the flat luggage rack on top of the ambulance, revealing a malicious smile. Let her and Lin Wan lie on the roof. After all, one is faking illness, and the other is tough as nails. Neither will die. Great idea. Zhang Zhe's eyes lit up, and he immediately shouted to the athlete next to him, you all, what are you standing around for? Hurry, lift Lin Wan and Siu up and place them on the roof. Secure them with ropes. Don't delay Zhou Qian's treatment. No, this is too dangerous. The nurse anxiously shouted, what danger is there? If anything happens, it's on me. If we delay any further and someone dies, will you take responsibility? Move quickly. At Zhang Zhe's command, several tall physical education students immediately rushed forward. Without a word, they lifted me and Lin Wan and tied us to the roof of the car. After an unknown amount of time, we finally arrived at the hospital. Medical staff rushed out, and upon seeing the scene on the roof, they were all stunned. "Quick, get them down!" Everyone scrambled to untie the ropes, and I along with Lin Wan were lifted down. Lin Wan was swiftly rushed into the emergency room. I slumped onto the cold bench outside the door, my heart lodged in my throat, each second feeling like an eternity. Suddenly, a rapid and intensely pressuring footstep echoed from the end of the corridor. A middle-aged man in an expensive bespoke suit, with eyes as sharp as a falcon's, strode swiftly over, surrounded by a group of black-clad bodyguards. "Lin Jinyuan, the richest man, Lin Jinyuan, is here." He immediately noticed the red light on the emergency room. He also saw me, battered and ghostly pale, standing by the door. "Where's Wan Wan, Mr. Lin?" "Miss Lin Wan is undergoing emergency treatment inside," a nurse quickly replied. Lin Jinyuan's fists clenched instantly, his knuckles turning white. He abruptly turned to me, his eyes like poison daggers. "What exactly happened? Why is my daughter like this?" I opened my mouth, my throat dry and hoarse, about to explain. At the same time, Zhou Qian, standing among the crowd, saw Lin Jinyuan, and her eyes first flashed with a hint of shock, then her eyes darted around, and she quickly took a few steps closer, swiftly preparing her emotions, her voice cracking with tears. "Uncle Lin, it's Su Yu, it's all her fault." Lin Jinyuan's sharp gaze immediately turned towards her. During military training, Lin Wan wanted to slack off by pretending to be sick, and Su Yu deliberately disrupted the training to help her. Instructor Zhang tried to stop her, but Su Yu went berserk and attacked him. Lin Wan wanted to intervene, but Su Yu accidentally pushed her down, causing her to hit her head, and then, she had a seizure. Su Yu even took Lin Wan's medication and wouldn't give it to her. We barely managed to get Lin Wan here. It's all her fault." "Yes, Mr. Lin, I can testify." Zhang Zhe immediately stepped forward, standing straight. "Every word Zhou Qian said is true. Su Yu is morally corrupt and uses vicious methods." She pushed Lin Wan, causing her to fall and have an attack. In an instant, all accusations were directed at me. The doctors, nurses, patients, and family members around me looked at me with disdain and anger. "My God, she looks quite delicate, but her heart is so vicious, pushing her classmate and stealing life-saving medicine. This is murder." Even the instructor testified. "Can it be fake? This kind of person should be arrested." Lin Jinyuan listened, and his gaze at me instantly transformed from fury into a glint of murderous intent. He stepped right in front of me, his teeth clenched as he said, "Was it you who pushed my daughter, who took her medicine?" I shook my head vehemently in denial, but my throat felt as if it were being strangled by an invisible hand, only able to emit a faint gurgling sound. Seeing that I didn't speak, Lin Jinyuan assumed I had admitted it, and his eyes immediately turned bloodshot. "Good. Very good," he said with a bitter laugh, his anger reaching its peak. In the next moment, he suddenly reached out to the side. The bodyguard immediately handed him a baseball bat, then restrained me. "You dare touch my daughter? I don't think you need this arm anymore." The words had barely left his mouth when the baseball bat came crashing down hard on my arm. My pupils contracted sharply, and I froze in place, startled. Bang! At that moment, the emergency room door burst open, and Lin Wan rushed out, covered in blood. "Dad, stop!" she cried out urgently, then raised her trembling hand, pointing at Zhou Qian and Zhang Zhe. "The person who bullied me wasn't Su Yu, it was them." Lin Wan was covered in blood, her face as pale as paper, barely able to stand, propped up only by the momentum of crashing through the door, but her bloodshot eyes were now fixed firmly on Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian. It was them." Lin Wan's voice was hoarse. "It was them. They wanted to kill me." Bang! The baseball bat in Lin Jinyuan's hand slipped and hit the ground with a loud clang. His furious expression froze instantly. He abruptly turned his head, his eyes glaring viciously at the two who had been pointed out. Zhang Zhe, who had been waiting to watch the spectacle, turned pale as a sheet upon hearing this. Zhou Qian trembled all over and instinctively took a few steps back. "No, it's not, Lin Wan. You've just been resuscitated and your mind isn't clear. You can't just slander good people." "Uncle Lin, Lin Wan must have pointed the wrong person. It was her. Su Yu pushed her." Lin Wan had a relapse because Su Yu pushed her. We're the ones who saved her. Zhang Zhe also stood up, suppressing his fear. "Mr. Lin, Lin Wan just went through a rescue and is disoriented, with memory confusion. She must have mistaken the person who pushed her in the chaos. I guarantee, as her instructor, that Zhou Qian and I absolutely did not. Enough. Lin Jinyuan roared in a deep voice. He no longer looked at Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian, his gaze returning to his daughter, filled with heartache, stepped forward, carefully supporting Lin Wan, who was on the verge of collapse, speaking in a very soft voice. Wan, tell Dad, what did they do to you? Say it clearly, word by word. Lin Wan's body trembled violently from weakness and anger. She took a deep breath, looked at me, then at the two murderers who seemed ready to tear her apart, and tears uncontrollably fell down her face. At that moment, Zhou Qian's eyes darted around, and she suddenly threw herself at Lin Jinyuan's feet. Uncle Lin, look at Lin Wan, she doesn't even know who she's accusing, she's pointing at Su Yu, look at the way she's looking at Su Yu, it's Su Yu who's bewitched her. Zhang Zhe quickly followed suit, pointing at Lin Wan's trembling finger, weakened by her frailty. Mr. Lin, look, Lin Wan's fingers are trembling. The direction she pointed to just now was clearly Su Yu. She must be trying to say that Su Yu harmed her. She's just too weak. Please don't be deceived by appearances, we are the ones who saved her. That's right, Sister Zhou Qian and Instructor Zhang have been helping Lin Wan all along. It was Su Yu who pushed her, we all saw it. Zhou Qian's followers chimed in one after another. No, it's not that. Lin Wan was so anxious that tears streamed down her face. She shook her head desperately, her throat emitting hoarse sounds, but her weakness prevented her from forming coherent sentences. Seeing the doubt rise again in her father's eyes due to Zhou Qian and Zhang Zhe's deceitful arguments, despair almost overwhelmed her. Lin Jinyuan looked at his daughter's pained expression, then glanced at Zhou Qian and Zhang Zhe. He frowned, then lowered his voice and commanded, "Take Su Yu, away with you." As soon as the words left his mouth, the bodyguards behind him stepped forward. No, Lin Wan shouted loudly, suddenly breaking free from Lin Jinyuan's support. She stumbled toward the bodyguard who was about to grab me, shielding me behind her. Then he opened his mouth, gasping for breath, and managed to squeeze out a few words. Dad, it's them, Zhang Zhe, Zhou Qian, they kicked away my medicine, didn't call an ambulance. Zhou Qian stepped on my hand. Su Yu wanted to kill us. They tied me and Su Yu to the roof of the car. They are the ones who killed the murderer. The corridor was deathly silent. All eyes were focused on Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian. Zhang Zhe's legs went weak, and he collapsed to the ground. Zhou Qian collapsed as if all her bones had been removed, her eyes vacant, mumbling unconsciously, "It's over, everything is over." Lin Jinyuan's body swayed violently. He looked at his daughter, then at Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian, whose faces were ashen and whose ugliness was fully exposed. Finally, his gaze fell on me. Had he just, almost personally ruined his daughter's savior? Good, very good. Lin Jinyuan's voice was terrifyingly calm, more chilling than his previous rage. He slowly bent down and picked up the baseball bat from the ground. The bodyguards immediately understood and pinned Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian firmly to the ground. Lin Jinyuan walked up to them step by step, his eyes wide with anger. You dare to touch my daughter, Lin Jinyuan, and you want to harm her savior. You are doing a great job. Today, I'll let you taste what it's like to live worse than death. No, it wasn't us. This is a hospital. You can't do this. Zhang Zhe was immediately scared into stepping back repeatedly and fell to his knees. You have no evidence. You can't just hit someone in public like this. So many people are watching. Zhou Qian screamed as well. Upon hearing this, and seeing that many people were already live streaming with their phones, Lin Jinyuan slowly released his grip on the baseball bat, grinding his teeth. Fine, evidence, you say. When I find the evidence, I'll make you wish you were dead. With that, he walked up to me, slightly bowed his head, his eyes filled with guilt. Su Yu, I'm sorry, I misjudged you. You have saved my daughter, and you are now an eternal benefactor to the Lin family. This debt of gratitude, the Lin family will remember. From this day forward, the Lin family owes you a life. Whatever you desire, as long as I, Lin Jinyuan, can provide, I will not hesitate. Zhou Qian and Zhang Zhe's faces turned ashen in an instant, for they knew what this meant. Su Yu, from this moment on, will be sheltered by power and influence beyond their wildest imagination, and they are completely finished. I looked at him, my throat still hoarse and painful, unable to speak, only able to slightly shake my head to indicate that it wasn't necessary. At that moment, Lin Wan, supported by a nurse, spoke again with weakness but unwavering determination. Her voice was soft, yet carried an undeniable force. Dad, the evidence, I recorded it. Her trembling fingers pointed to the pocket of her military training uniform. A bodyguard immediately stepped forward, carefully retrieving a voice recorder from her pocket that was still faintly blinking with a red light. Lin Jinyuan's eyes narrowed sharply. He took the recording pen and pressed the play button directly. The voice came through crystal clear. Zhou Qian maliciously taunted, usually so lively, but as soon as military training starts, you can't do it. Who are you pretending for? Zhang Zhe coldly reprimanded, if you're faking it, get lost, don't drag us down. Zhou Qian's arrogance in forcing me to kneel and kowtow. Kneel or not, if you don't, I'll stomp this broken bottle to pieces, let that fake sick bitch choke to death. Haha, good, what a obedient piece of trash, a fake sick wretch, wouldn't it be better for her to die early, saves wasting air. And finally, Zhang Zhe's cold command to have the athletes tie us to the roof of the car. Quick, lift Lin Wan and Siyu up and place them on the roof, secure them with ropes. Every word, every sound coming from the voice recorder was like the loudest slap. Striking Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian's faces hard, it completely shattered any possibility of their last-ditch excuses. No, it's fake, it's synthesized, Siyu is framing us, Zhou Qian screamed hysterically, lunging forward like a madwoman to snatch the voice recorder. Take them, Lin Jinyuan coldly uttered 2 words. The bodyguards moved with lightning speed, and Zhou Qian and Zhang Zhe were once again pinned to the ground like lifeless dogs. Mr. Lin, spare us, Mr. Lin. It was all Zhou Qian. She incited me, she forced me. Zhang Zhe completely broke down, his tears and snot flowing as he accused Zhou Qian. Zhang Zhe, you beast. Zhou Qian also launched a fierce counterattack, and the two of them, like trapped beasts, tore into each other with accusations, exposing their ugliness. The surrounding classmates, medical staff, and even those who had been incited by Zhou Qian to accuse me earlier, all watched this scene in horror. The sidekicks who had spoken up for Zhou Qian earlier were already as pale as ghosts, wishing they could disappear on the spot. Oh my god, this is too terrifying. So that's the truth, we were all fooled by them. Suyu, she did it to save Lin Wan. Zhou Qian and Instructor Zhang are inhuman animals. The live broadcast, it's still going on, the whole nation has seen it. This pair of scumbags is finished. The live stream had already exploded, with comments flooding the screen like a tsunami. Beast, scum, may you be torn to pieces. Miss Suyu is so brave, it brought tears to my eyes. Dad, this richest man is so domineering. Take them down, demand severe punishment, absolutely cannot let them off. Call the police, there are 2 attempted premeditated murders here, the evidence is conclusive. Tell them to send someone over immediately, right now. I want them to rot in jail. Yes, Chairman Lin. The head of the bodyguards immediately took out his phone. Upon hearing the words, rot in jail, Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian instantly collapsed, their eyes completely losing their luster, leaving only boundless fear and despair. Lin Jinyuan's gaze returned to me, carrying a subtle, almost imperceptible warmth. Miss Su, you've been wronged, let the doctor check your injuries first, the rest, leave it to me. I, Lin Jinyuan, always keep my word. He signaled the nurse to help me to the treatment room. The nurse quickly stepped forward, carefully helping me up. As he passed by Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian, who were being pinned to the ground, Zhang Zhe suddenly raised his head, and in his once cold and arrogant eyes, there was now only resentment and unwillingness, as if he wanted to dismember me with his gaze, but he would never be able to do that in this lifetime. Soon, the police arrived. Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian were quickly handcuffed. No, let go of me, I'm an instructor. You can't arrest me. Zhang Zhe was still struggling in vain until this moment. Zhou Qian, on the other hand, seemed to have lost all her strength and was being dragged away by the police. As she passed by me, she suddenly looked up, glaring at me with a venomous hatred. Watching the 2 being taken away by the police, those classmates who had once been complicit, mocking along with Zhou Qian, and giving false testimony. At this moment, everyone's faces were ashen, huddled in the corner, not daring to breathe heavily. Lin Jinyuan's gaze slowly swept over these people, his eyes fierce. The few of them were immediately so frightened that they scrambled to Lin Jinyuan's feet, their voices trembling with sobs. It was Instructor Zhang who forced us. He said if we didn't follow orders, we'd fail military training and get disciplinary action. We didn't dare disobey. Yes, 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 Mr. Lin, it was all Zhang Zhe's doing. Zhou Qian also threatened us. She said she'd make us pay if we didn't help her. We were wrong, we were really wrong. Suyu, we're sorry, we're so sorry. The others, as if finding a lifeline, rushed over one after another, crying and begging for mercy in a chaotic chorus, shoving all the blame wildly onto Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian, who were already beyond defense. In an instant, the corridor was filled with a cacophony of apologies, finger-pointing, and loud slaps. Suyu, classmate, we were blind, we were deceived by that bitch Zhou Qian, we are not human, we are begging for your forgiveness. I watched the faces of these people, who were arrogant at first and then obsequious, displaying all sorts of ugly behaviors. But my heart remained unmoved. At that moment, a police officer walked over and said to Lin Jinyuan, Mr. Lin, as a key party and victim, Suyu needs to come with us to the station to make a detailed statement. Lin Jinyuan looked at me, his eyes questioning. I nodded, indicating that it was acceptable. At the police station, I recounted how Zhou Qian had instigated the situation and how Zhang Zhe had coldly watched on. I detailed how Zhou Qian had forced me to kneel and kowtow, how she had trampled on Lin Wan's hand, how she had encouraged others to join in beating us, and finally, how the two of them had tied us to the roof of a car. I told the whole story in precise detail. Halfway through the interrogation, there was a knock on the door of the questioning room. A male detective poked his head in. Miss Su, Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian are requesting to see you. I looked up, a hint of confusion flashing in my eyes. Through the cold iron bars, Zhang Zhe and Zhou Qian looked like stray dogs. Zhang Zhe's uniform was wrinkled, his face bruised, his eyes filled with resentment and unwillingness. Zhou Qian's hair was disheveled, her eyes vacant. Seeing me, Zhang Zhe rushed to the fence. Suyu, tell them, I didn't mean it, I was just bewitched by Zhou Qian. It was her, she was the one who seduced me, she wanted to harm Lin Wan, I just wanted her to suffer a bit, I didn't want her to die. Zhou Qian raised her head woodenly, glanced at Zhang Zhe, then at me, and pulled a twisted smile at the corner of her mouth. Zhang Zhe, even at this point, you still want to pin the blame on me, didn't you say it yourself, that if Lin Wan dies, there's no evidence left, and Suyu, this meddlesome bitch, is just asking to be dealt with, saving us the trouble. Shut up, you bitch. Zhang Zhe's eyes were wide with fury. Shut up, Zhou Qian chuckled. Zhang Zhe, have you forgotten what you told me? You said Suyu is both stupid and wooden, like a block of wood. If it weren't for the fact that she's obedient and easy to manipulate, you would have kicked her to the curb long ago. You said to wait until she graduates, have her family use their money to help you get ahead, ideally to stay in the military academy or secure a good position. You said she was your stepping stone to climb higher. Have you forgotten all that? You're spouting nonsense. Zhang Zhe completely lost it, screaming frantically. I watched the man and woman inside the fence, viciously tearing into each other like mad dogs, my face expressionless, only finding it amusing. Zhang Zhe abruptly turned his head, his bloodshot eyes glaring at me, his voice hoarse. Listen to me, don't believe this crazy woman, I love you, really. I was just momentarily confused. Think about our past. Wasn't I good to you during military training? Didn't I take extra care of you when you got heatstroke? Didn't I carry you to the infirmary? Have you forgotten? Help me. Go talk to Mr. Lin, tell him I'm innocent, that we were just having a lover's quarrel, that what happened to Lin Wan was an accident. Please, okay, just help me this once. I swear, I'll be good to you from now on. We'll get married right away. I'll do whatever you say. Zhang Zhe, I interrupted him calmly, my voice clear and carrying a penetrating strength. Do you love me? Zhang Zhe was stunned, as if seeing a glimmer of hope, and he nodded vigorously. Yes, I love you. You love me. So when Zhou Qian forced me to kneel and call myself a worthless wretch to save Lin Wan, you just watched coldly. You love me. So when Zhou Qian stole the life-saving medicine for Lin Wan and watched her nearly die, you love me. So when Zhou Qian and the others beat me and Lin Wan, you did nothing. You love me. So you came up with the idea of tying us to the roof, wanting us to die in the bumps. I listed his love, word by word, with crystal clarity, with every sentence I spoke. Zhang Zhe's face turned paler. Zhang Zhe, your love is truly disgusting. The biggest regret of my life, Suyu, is knowing you, and once being blind enough to think you were a decent person. No, listen to me, I really love you. Zhang Zhe shook his head, his voice trembling. I let out a cold laugh. The one you've always loved isn't me, nor is it Zhou Qian. You love yourself, your future, your interests. For these, you're willing to sacrifice anyone. Lin Wan's life, my dignity and life, in your eyes are just stepping stones that can be trampled on and discarded at any time. Now, your future is gone, your dream of military school is shattered, and you're about to rot in prison. This is your retribution. I took a step forward, my teeth clenched tightly. Help you plead, dream on, I'd love to see you sentenced to death with my own eyes, watch you go to hell. After saying that, I turned around and left without hesitation. Behind me, Zhang Zai's roar echoed, sue you, you vile woman, ungrateful wretch, without me, Zhang Zai, what are you even worth? You deserve it, you should have died with that sickly wretch on the playground, on the car roof. A few weeks later, Lin Wan's health had improved significantly, and she was able to be discharged for recuperation. The case involving Zhang Zai and Zhou Qian was also settled without any surprises: conspiracy to commit murder, abuse of power, intentional injury, insult, multiple charges were combined, and Zhang Zai was sentenced to life imprisonment. Zhou Qian, as an accomplice and instigator, was also sentenced to a heavy punishment. Their future was completely ruined, and they could only rot in prison. Those students who had followed the crowd and provided false testimony. After investigation, the school imposed appropriate disciplinary sanctions. Some students received demerits, while others were placed on probation. They have, so to speak, paid the price. On this day, Lin Jinyuan's assistant delivered an official document envelope to me. Inside was the admission notice from Hua University, the full scholarship confirmation letter, and the appointment letter for the internship director position at the Lin Corporation. Miss Su, Chairman Lin asked me to inform you that all the procedures have been completed. You can report to your new school at any time, and the Lin Corporation welcomes you at any time as well. The assistant respectfully said, thank you, I understand. I took the file bag, my emotions a whirlwind within me. In my previous life, I ended up with a tragic death. In this life, my new beginning is just starting. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.